Tes Amud Aleph, we are on the top. We were discussing yesterday the fact that you're not allowed to get married on the Moed, and we were saying that there are a few different reasons. Which would include Canada's Wonderland. That would be specifically to marriage, because you'll forget it. Then we said because there's a Toreach, you're going to be busy. Not that you're going to forget about it, you're just going to have to do Tircha Shalol L'Torech, which is Asr b'Moed, or Tircha, just major Tircha, even though it's L'Torech, which is Asr on Moed. And then because Bittul Pir V'Riva, you're going to wait to get married until the Chag, so that you could just have one big feast on the Chag and knock off and kill two birds with one stone. So the Meisvei on the bottom of Ches Amud Beis, Meisvei all of those that we said that it's asur to marry in the Moed, Mutarin Lisa Erev Haregel. So we see that the Brisa says that you are allowed to get married by Erev Haregel. Kasha Lekulu, this is a kasha on all of them, that you're allowed to get married in Erev Regel. Why? Because even if you get married in Erev Regel, what's going to happen? You're going to be very happy on the Regel. So it's not going to accomplish anything. So how can we let you get married on Erev Regel if we're worried about you getting married on the Regel? Because Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha, because you're going to be thinking about your wife the whole time, because it's a Tircha, because you're going to be Mevatel Pir V'Riva, all of them seem to apply even if you get married on Erev Regel. How can we say that it's mutter to get married on the Erev Regel? Lo Kasha, we don't have a problem. Why? We'll go through each one individually. Lamandi Amar Mishum Simcha, for the first two opinions which say you can't get married on the Regel is because of Simcha, Ikar Simcha Chad Yomahu. So you're allowed to get married on Erev Regel because even though yes, you're going to be happy and you're going to be happy with your new wife on the Regel, that's not going to be Ma'ariv Simcha B'Simcha, because that's not as great as the first day. The first day, yes, can't take place on the Moed, because that's really going to get your mind off the Moed. But in terms of the Shavuot Brachos, you're happy, but you're not necessarily, we're going to say, happy enough to prevent you from getting married on the Erev Regel. So Erev Regel, you'll get married. That'll be the main Simcha. Yeah, you'll be happy on the Regel, but not happy enough to prevent you from having to get married on the Erev Regel. The truth is, according to this reason, if it was going to be a problem, it wouldn't only be the Erev Regel that would be a problem. It would be really the 6 days before the Regel that would be a problem. Even if one day would go into the Regel, then it would be a problem. But the fact is that it's not a problem to get married even on Erev Regel, because the main Simcha is on that one day. Lamanda Mishum Tircha, the one who says you're going to be matriach for the wedding, Ikar Tircha Chad Yoma, so you're going to be busy planning Shavuot Brachos, but that's not as big deal as planning the actual wedding. So you can't get married on the Moed because we're afraid you're going to be busy with the Tircha of the wedding on the Moed. But if you get married on Erev Moed, so most of the Tircha, most of the hard work is going to be done before the Moed, and then even though there's going to be some work to be done on the Moed, that's not enough to be considered to be a problem for the Moed itself. Lamanda Mishum Bittul Pir V'Riva, very interesting. The one who says that it's...
Who is this addressing? The bride and groom or the parents of the bride and groom?
Everybody. Stama everybody. The parents don't have to do anything, they just have to pay. Lamandi Amar Mishum Bittul Pir V'Riva, according to the one who says because it's a Bittul Pir V'Riva, L'chad Yom Alomashi Inshi Nafshe. Very interesting. So what this is saying is, what was the taina? We said before that it's going to be a problem. You can't get married on the Moed because what do? We're worried that you're going to go ahead and you're not going to get married in August because you might as well get married on Erev Regel. So let's see what happens, because you might as well get married on the Regel and have one big meal. What happens if you get married on Erev Regel? So if you get married on Erev Regel, you can also have a problem, because theoretically Erev Regel, what could happen? You can say I'm going to get married Erev Regel, like we said sometimes in Eretz Yisrael they get married Erev Shabbos. And what am I going to do? I'm going to have the big meal when? The first night of the Mergel. So what's the problem? Why is that not a problem of Bittul Pir V'Riva? I'm going to wait in August. I'm not going to get married in August when I could get married on Erev Circus and then have the big meal Circus night. So the Gemara answers, you're not going to take that chance. Because if you can get married on Erev Regel, very nice, but you're not going to be Bittul Pir V'Riva, because what happens if the caterer doesn't show up on the Erev Regel? What happens if there's a big snowstorm on the Erev Regel? What's going to happen? How long do you have to wait now? You have to wait 7 days because you can't get married on the Moed. So nobody's going to push off from August to Erev Regel. So we let you get married on Erev Regel because, again, you can't get married on Moed because we're afraid that what? You're going to be Mevatel, you're just going to get married in August. You're not going to get married in August. But if we let you get married on Erev Regel, we're going to let you get married Erev Regel because we're not worried you're going to push off from August to Erev Regel, because you're not going to take a chance that it's going to snow or that the caterer's not going to show up. And if you don't get married Erev Regel, for sure the Regel is asur. And now you're going to have to wait another 7 days. So that's why you're allowed to get married on the Erev Regel, even according to the opinion of Pirya V'Rivya. Udein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha Minalan. Where do we have this idea that you're not allowed to be Ma'arv Simcha B'Simcha in the first place? Remember, yesterday we quoted Tosfos. Tosfos brought from Lavan. Im Lavan Garti, that for the 7 days. And the 7 days, he said you can't marry Rachel within the 7 days of marrying Leah. But over here, the Gemara gives a different reason. What's the reason you can't be married of Simcha B'Simcha? Dirsiv, so he brings it based on a pasuk. And Shlomo made a chag for the entire Jewish people. So let's just review the history. What happened? Shlomo Melech inaugurated the first Beis HaMikdash. What did he do? He made a 7-day party. When was the 7-day party? Well, the 7-day party actually started on the 8th day of Tishrei. Tishrei. So it went from the 8th day of Tishrei for 7 days. What does that include? Yom Kippur. What happened at the end of the 7 days? Where do you get? You get to the end of the 14th. What happens on the 15th of Tishrei? You have Sukkot. So basically what they had was a 7-day party for the inauguration, 7-day party for Sukkot, a total of a 14-day party. Pretty good. Everybody was off from work for 14 days. So the question is, how do we see from over here that Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha?
On Yom Kippur they have to fast.
So we'll have to see. The Gemara is going to get into that. So the Gemara proves from here originally that what? We see that Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha, that you can't mix two Simchas, because if you were allowed to mix two Simchas, what would Shlomo HaMelech have done? Shlomo HaMelech would have waited until what? Until Sukkot to do the partying for the inauguration. As Tosfos points out, why are we going to make people take off for 14 days of work? Okay, the Shabbos over there. Why are we going to make people take off for 12 days of work? He should have just waited. The fact that he didn't wait to have the inauguration on Sukkot shows what? That he did it for a reason. Why did he do it? Because there's Allah of Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha. So the Gemara answers no, you can't prove from that case, because Dilma Minter Lo Natrina Vehecha Disra Me'avdinan. All you see from the case of Shlomo HaMelech is that when something comes out, so then you can't push it off to be Ma'arv Simcha B'Simcha. So he wasn't allowed to push it off to be Ma'arv Simcha. So you're right. From Shlomo HaMelech we learn Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha. We don't push off a Simcha to the Regel, and now we're going to have two Simchas that we could have had the earlier Simcha. But theoretically, if a Simcha just happens on the Regel, so then we are going to be Ma'arv Simcha B'Simcha. Again, we gave the example of a non-wedding, like Canada's Wonderland. So we said Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha. So if you just happen to be going to Canada's Wonderland, you can't necessarily push it off to the Chag, but if you wake up one day on the Chag and you say, I want to go to Canada's Wonderland, so then we don't have a precedent that Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha. We only have a precedent that beforehand, if you were going to go the week before, now you can't say, okay, I'm going to go next week. That's from Shlomo HaMelech. You can't push it off. But if it just comes up on the actual Chag, so then we have no precedent that Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha. So we still don't have a precedent, even with the story of Shlomo, that Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha when the Simcha happens on the Regel. But if it happens before, all we see from that case is that if it happens before, you can't push it off until the Regel.
So don't consider the last 7 days it's also a Simcha that's happening during Sukkot?
What do you mean?
He did 14 days.
He did 7 days. The Gemara says 7 and 7. It says 14 total, but it was 7 days of the inauguration and then 7 days of Sukkot. He didn't do 14 days. He did 7 days. Only the first 7 days were the 7 days of the inauguration that he did.
I'm surprised that we are not Moed. We are not making that a Simcha.
Right. They should be. There should be a Simcha Chol Moed, yeah. So what did he say? So no, we can still prove from the case of Shlomo HaMelech that Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha. Why? Because what he should have done is he should have left a little bit part of the Beis HaMikdash unfinished. He could have left a little part of the Beis HaMikdash unfinished. We said you can't. Again, this is like a little bit of a way around it, but we said you can't be Ma'arv Simcha B'Simcha and you can't push it off. That means once it's finished, you can't push it off. But you know what he could have done? He could have told the workers to do what they do. I don't know what they do here, but in New York, when they're working, you see them working for 7 years, even though it should only take 3 months. Yeah. He should have told the workers, go ahead and just slow down a little bit at the end, like we have sometimes. What, by like the 9 days when you want to have a siyum. So what do? It takes you 3 weeks to finish the last blot, even though you do daf yomi and usually do the homosechta in 3 weeks. So that's a similar thing. Why didn't he just slow down the work? The fact that he didn't slow down the work shows what? That if he would have slowed down the work, it wouldn't have helped, because what? Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha. He wouldn't have been able to have the inauguration anyway. Gemara says no, he didn't have an option to slow down the work. You're not allowed to slow down the work of the Beis HaMikdash. Once you're building the Beis HaMikdash, you got to go full force. So the Gemara gives another suggestion. There's parts of the Beis HaMikdash that we wouldn't call the essential parts of the building. What's an essential part? So he gives an example of something that would be non-essential, and we'll see the Gemara rejects this in 1 second. And even the non-essential parts you can't push off. But the Gemara has a havmina that the non-essential parts you can push off. What's a non-essential part? So it says that there was a spot of different tiles, amma ba'ama, on top of the Kodesh. What was on top of those little tiles? There were spikes. Why were there spikes on top of those amma ba'ama on top of the Kodesh? To prevent the ravens from coming and sitting and making all over the top of the Mikdash. So what they do, they put spikes on these amma ba'ama things, and it would prevent the ravens from sitting on top of the Kodesh. So why didn't he just push off this non-essential part and then finish the non-essential part, what? On the Chag, and then he can have the inauguration on the Chag. Clearly the fact that he didn't do this was because Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha. So Gemara answers, Alma Kal Ya'orev Tzorech Bein Habayis. No, even though it's not quote-unquote an essential part, it's still an important part, and he wasn't allowed to push that off either. So at this point, what do we have? We have no proof from the case of Shlomo Melech, because again, we wanted to say that Shlomo Melech, he should have pushed off the inauguration, and then we said the fact that he didn't is because Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha, but now we're answering, no, he wasn't allowed to push off the inauguration, because he couldn't slow down the work, he wasn't allowed to even slow down the little spikes, and the fact that he finished, the reason that he did it on 7 days before, and is because that's when he finished. He finished on the 7th of Tishrei, and then from the 8th to the 14th, that's when he had to have the inauguration, because he finished. But you have no proof from here that Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha. So the Gemara is going to say, no, you don't have a proof from the actual story, but you actually have a Gezeres HaKasav from the Psukim. Why? What does the Pasuk say? Ela midemaiser kra. You can't prove from the fact that he did the 7 and then the 7, because that's just how it came out. But you do have a proof from the way that the pasuk explains what happened. Michtei ksiv, because again, what does it say? It said that he made a party, and this is where we got a little bit confused. He made a party for 7 days and 7 days, a total of 14 days. What should the pasuk have said? That they partied for 14 days. 7 days of which we know were the inauguration, and 7 days of which were what? Were the holiday. Rather, michtei ksiv arba'as hayom. The fact that it gives you arba'as hayom, that's enough. Sorry, he says the opposite. It should have just said 14 days. Right. Shivas yamim v'shivas yamim lamli. Why does the pasuk also say 7 days and 7 days? Shma mina hani l'chud v'hani l'chud. Yes, it happened to have come out like that, but at the end of the day, the pasuk says shiva yamim v'shiva yamim to teach you that they fell out like that, but even if they wouldn't have fallen out like that, they still would have done it separately because Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha. So if I ask you now, when you walk away from the shir, what's the reason of Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha? Very pashut. You tell me based on the pasuk. The pasuk says that when the inauguration did, so they had 14 days of partying, 7 days for the inauguration, 7 days for the Sukkos. How do we know Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha? Because when the pasuk describes it, what does it say? It says 14 days. Once you're telling me it's 14 days, what do you have to tell me 7 days and 7 days? The fact that it tells me 7 days and 7 days shows me that in general, Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha.
Why do you have to have inauguration right after it's finished? I mean, a lot of times people have inauguration, they finish some project and they put off the inauguration when it suits them.
Right. So it seems that the Gemara is learning that you had no choice, but you needed to have the inauguration as soon as the thing was different. But according to you, then you wouldn't even need the Gedalia because the way that you're learning is that specifically again he didn't push off the inauguration. Is that he pushed it off because, or he had it right away because he dafka didn't want to have it on Sukkos. But it seems like the Gemara is not learning like that and saying you have to learn Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha from the fact that there's Gezeres HaKasav of 7 and 7.
This is just in the Moed, in the Chol Moed.
Right. Right. Ein Ma'arvin Simcha B'Simcha only on the Chol Moed.
Yom Kippur came in the middle for 7 days.
Right. So that's what we're saying. Yom Kippur came in the middle, and that's what we're going to discuss right now. What did they do? Seemingly they partied on Yom Kippur. That was a pretty fun year over there. Amar Rav Parnach. Ve'amar Rav Yochanan, Osa Shana Lo Atzvi Yisrael Yom Kippurim. They didn't make Yom Kippur. What happened? Hayudogim ve'omrim, but they were worried and they said, Shema nischayvu Sonein Shal Yisrael kill you. Who's Sonein Shal Yisrael? That's the way that we describe ourselves. When we're talking about being destroyed, we don't describe ourselves as Yisrael. We describe ourselves as the enemies of Israel. They should all be destroyed. So Osa Shana, that year they didn't do Yom Kippurim. And what were they worried about? They were worried that maybe we're going to get destroyed because we didn't keep Yom Kippur. Yatzta Basko ve'amra lahem kulchem mizuman in l'chayir olam haba. So a Basko came out and said, no, you didn't do anything wrong, and you're actually all going to go to Gan Eden. My Darish. The question is, what was their ability to eating on Yom Kippur based on? Very nice they ate, but what was the svara that they had when they decided that we're not actually going to eat? That means we're going to celebrate for 7 days. So maybe they should have celebrated for 7 days, but what? They should have fasted on Yom Kippur. What was their svara when Shlomo Melech told them you have to go ahead and you should be partying and eating on Yom Kippur? What was the svara based on? So very interesting Kal V'chomer. Amru Kal V'chomer. They said there's a Kal V'chomer. We know that in the time of the Mishkan, which was in the desert, so we know that there was actually an Isser to have bamos, to have private altars. However, the halacha also is that once the Mishkan came into Eretz Yisrael, so now private altars were actually fine. So we're talking that the Mishkan was a lower level of Kedusha, because again, bamos, private altars were only usher when the Mishkan was in the desert. Once the Mishkan came to Eretz Yisrael, so now you're allowed to have bamos. So there's a certain one level, let's say level 1 of Kedusha is the Mishkan. And yet, the Korban Yachid Doche Shabbos to Isser Skila, we know that in the inauguration of the Mishkan, what did we do? The Nesiim brought Korbanos every day. How many Nesiim were there? 12 Nesiim. What does that mean by definition? That at least one of the Nesiim, if not two, what? Brought their Korban on Shabbos. Shabbos is an Isser Skila, to be Mechalel Shabbos. So we see that for level 1 Kedusha of the Mishkan, what were they doing? They were Mechalel Shabbos. They were Mechalel Shabbos, which is an Isser Skila. Mikdash de Kedushas or Kedushas Olam. So therefore, Kal Vachomer in the Mikdash, which is level 2, because once the Mikdash was around, they were not allowed to bring private altars anymore at all. The korban tzibur, it happens to be a korban tzibur, but that's a side point for now. So what was there? Kal v'chomer. V'yom ha'kippurim da'anish kares lo kol shekain. That if you're going to have level 2, so they basically had a double kal v'chomer. First of all, by the Mishkan, it was level 1 kedusha, and the Mikdash is level 2 kedusha. Not only that, by the Mishkan, which was level 1 kedusha, they were doches Shabbos, which is an iser kare, which is an iser skila. Kal v'chomer for a level 2 kedusha, but again, even if it was a level 1 kedusha, kal v'chomer for a level 2 kedusha, what? You can be eating on Yom Kippur. Why? Because eating on Yom Kippur is what? It's only kares, which is actually not as stringent as sekila. So again, even if the second part was a level 1, even if they were equal kedushas, they still could have eaten on Yom Kippur. But kal v'chomer, when you said level 1, the Mishkan, you were able to be mechal al Shabbos, which is here. So for sure, level 2, which is the Mikdash, you're able to eat on Yom Kippur, which is underneath and not as stringent as being mechal al Shabbos.
Mishkan was more holy than...
No, that's what I'm saying. It's a double kal v'chomer. The Mishkan, first of all, was less holy than the Mikdash. So whatever you did for the inauguration of the Mishkan, you should be able to do for the inauguration of the Mikdash. By the inauguration of the Mishkan, they were mechalel Shabbos. So they could have been able to, for sure, be mechalel Yom HaKippurim for the Mikdash. I added that the kal v'chomer is even stronger, because not only do you have the kal v'chomer that they were actually doing something less than they did in the Mishkan, it happens to be also that the Mikdash is even on a higher level than the Mishkan. So they have a double kal v'chomer. Hear what I'm saying?
I thought we said the Mishkan is higher because Moshe...
Mishkan's lower.
No, Mishkan, because Moshe Rabbeinu built it. It says that if Moshe Rabbeinu had built the base of Mikdash, he could, Kodesh Baruch Hu could have destroyed the base of Mikdash.
Uh-huh.
It says that
Mishkan's
the
higher.
Mishkan, in the sense that the Mishkan is only temporarily
Right, but the Kedusha is higher because
whereas
Moshe
the base of
Rabbeinu-
Mikdash...
That's interesting. That's interesting. He's saying, yeah, you're right. The Gemara here says that the Mishkan is... So again, I guess that would be good that we have another kal v'chomer regardless. Even if you want to say... Well, you want to say that they're not even equal. Okay, that's interesting. But the Gemara is clearly learning the opposite. The Gemara is learning that the Mishkan, but again, even if they were on the same level, but the Gemara is learning that the Mikdash was an even higher level of Kedusha, and therefore, for the Mikdash, for sure, they were allowed to eat on Yom Kippur. Okay, then what's the question? If that's true, and they had this kal v'chomer, so then why after the fact, when they ate, were they worried? They had a good kal v'chomer. So they realized that what? They realized, yes, you were allowed to be mechalal Shabbos for the Mishkan, which was on a lower level, but over there, what were they doing to be mechalal Shabbos? They were bringing karbanos to Hashem. Very nice. How can you bring a kal v'chomer from the fact that they brought karbanos to Hashem to us, hedyot, eating? Very nice over there, yeah, that's what they did. So this is a higher level of Kedusha, but who cares? Over here, you're not bringing Karbanos. You want to bring Karbanos for sure, you have a precedent that you could bring Karbanos for the inauguration of the Mikdash. But how can you tell me that for inauguration of the Mikdash, just because they brought Karbanos to God by the inauguration of the Mishkan, which was on a lower level, now I can go ahead and eat and drink on Yom Kippur for the inauguration of the Mikdash?
That's the stuff they kept in Yom Kippur, just eating and drinking they did?
It seems like they did, yeah. Seemingly. Hachanami mi'avid li'avdu, micha lo nichlu v'lo lishtu. Are you telling me that what? They're not going to eat and drink? And simcha below achila shia. Sorry, so Gemara says, so ein achanami. So why didn't they actually what? Why didn't they actually go ahead and not eat and drink? So they should have brought the karbanos, because you had a kal v'chomer, but they shouldn't have eaten and drink. That's not appropriate. No, this is the 5 most important lines in Gemara. Ein simcha below achilo shtia. There's no such thing as simcha below achilo shtia, and therefore they had to have simcha, because again, he made it that they're going to have the inauguration. Once you're having the inauguration, you have to have simcha. You can't have simcha without eating and drinking. Once you're having eating and drinking, how do they know they're allowed to eat and drink? Because they had a kal v'chomer from the Mishkan. Mishkan dedachi Shabbos minalan. Now the question is not how did the Nesim in the Mishkan know that it was okay, but how do we know, and how did they know when they made the kal v'chomer? Because again, their kal v'chomer was based on the fact that what? That the Nesim brought korbanos in the Mishkan for the dedication even on Shabbos. How did they know? And how do we know that the Nesim actually brought korbanos on Shabbos? Maybe the Nesim brought korbanos, maybe there were 12 of them, but maybe they brought Sunday through Friday. They didn't bring on Shabbos, and then they brought Sunday, Monday, whatever, through Thursday. How do we know that they actually brought it on Shabbos? If you don't,
Actually, you get 14 days that way, right?
Right, because you get the assuming you started on a Sunday. So lima bidichti b'yom harishon and b'yom hashvi. Well, every day it says b'yom harishon, b'yom hasheni, b'yom hashishi. So it says that they brought on b'yom harishon and they brought on b'yom hashvi. So obviously they brought on Shabbos. No, d'yom hashvi lekarbanos doesn't mean that they brought on Shabbos. It means that the 7th guy brought what on the 7th day. But the 7th day might have been what? Maybe it was pushed off to Sunday. Maybe day 1 was Sunday, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 was Friday. Shabbos they didn't bring, and then Sunday was day number 7. Amar of Nachman bar Yitzchak, no. Amar Kra, you'll see that if you look at the Psukim by the Nesiim, you'll see something very interesting. Biyom Ashtei Asar Yom, and I always get confused. Ashtei Asar is not 12. Ashtei Asar, even though it sounds like Shtei Asar is 11. On the 11th day, what do you notice about that? You have an extra word, what? You have an extra word Yom. What does it have to say? Biyom Ashtei Asar Yom twice. It should have only said Yom once. So what does the Gemara say? Ma Yom Kulu Ratzuf Af Ashtei Asar Kulon Ritzuf. And the extra Yom tells me that just like a 24-hour day is consecutive, so that 11 days were all consecutive. Okay. V'dilma Yomim Haru'uyin. Maybe it doesn't mean that they were consecutive. Maybe it means that they were consecutive on the days you were allowed to bring korbanos. Yes, they didn't skip a day, except the days that you couldn't bring korbanos. So maybe they were consecutive from Sunday to Friday. They skipped Shabbos, and then they were consecutive from Sunday through Wednesday. Ksiv Karachvina, no. You have biyom shnei masar yom as well. You have the extra word yom not only by the 11th day, but by the 12th day as well. Ma yom kulo ratzavav shnei masar kulo mertzufin. So just like in 24 hours is full, consecutive, so the 12 days were consecutive. Maybe it's talking about that the 12th day was also consecutive, but they took a break for Shabbos. No. Imkain trei krai lamali. Why do you have the extra yom by 11 and the extra yom by 12? If you only had the extra yom by one of them, so then what would you say? Yeah, it was consecutive, but they still took a break for Shabbos. Once you have the extra yom by 11 and the extra yom by 12, so what do we say? That it was consecutive, but not only was it was consecutive through Shabbos. And that's the proof that we know, based on the Psukim, we know that they actually brought the Karbanos on Shabbos. So if I ask you, how do we know that the Nesiim brought Karbanos on Shabbos during the dedication of the Mishkan? You'll tell me because it says the extra word yom by the 11th day, which tells me it was consecutive. I'll say to you, how do you know it wasn't consecutive and then they stopped for Shabbos? Well, it also says the extra word yom by the 12th day as well.
Is that the reason he says biyom instead of bayom?
Doesn't seem like he's learning it biyom. It seems like they're just learning it from the extra word yom. It doesn't seem like they're making a drasha from the bays of biyom. So now we have a question. This is all based on the fact, again, that we said that they ate and drank on Yom Kippur. How do we know that they actually ate and drank on Yom Kippur? And this was a question I think that we were asking before. If it's because it says Arba'as Yom that they did for 14 days, again, maybe they only ate and drank for 14 days, but it was 14 days you were allowed to eat and drink. But they skipped Yom Kippur. Gemar Yom Yom Hasam. No. Once we have the Gzera Shava of Yom Yom by the Nesiim, and once we know that the word Yom by the Nesiim means, because it has on day 11 and day 12, therefore we say that the word Yom by the Nesiim means consecutively even on Shabbos. So now when it says that they ate and drank over here by the Mikdash for what? For Arba Asar Yom, so that means 14 days consecutively, even on Shabbos and even on Yom Kippur. Yatzta Baskov Ramalam. So now we're going to go back and say, what did the Baskov say to them? Kulchem mizuman l'chaya olam haba. You're all going to go to olam haba. Uminayin ta'achiluhu. Maybe they're going to olam haba, but how do we know that they were actually forgiven for what? For eating and drinking on Yom Kippur. Maybe they're going to go to olam haba, but they're not going to get as high of a level of olam haba, because at the end of the day they still sinned. How can you base on this pasuk? Where do we see in the pasuk that they were actually forgiven? Now that we've proved that they ate on Yom Kippur, how do we know that they're actually forgiven? Detani tachlifa. Very interesting. Listen. Bayom hashmini shalach es am vayivrachu es hamelech. That on the 8th day, which was what? What was the 8th day? Shmini Atzeres. Again, 7 days of the inauguration, 7 days of Sukkot. At the end of Sukkot, after the 14 days are up, Shlomo Melech sent everybody home. What did he do? He gave them a bracha, and they went back to their Oalim, Smechim, they were happy, V'tuv Leiv, they had good hearts, Akol HaTov Asher Aseh Hashem LeDavid Avdo Yisrael Mel, for all of the good that God did for them and for David. What does it mean that they went back to their Oel? Shehalchu Matzu Neshem B'Tara. Every single wife was not Benida. What else happened? Smechim, they were happy. Why were they so happy? Shenenu Miziv Ashchina. They had just been in the radiance of God's presence for the 14 days, 7 days of the inauguration and 7 days of Sukkot. V'tuvei Leiv, they were good-hearted. Shekol echad v'echad nis'aber ishto b'ben zachar. Every single one of their wives, seemingly not that day, but maybe you could say that day was conceived, or every single one of their wives had a child, a boy that year. Where do you see from V'tuvei Leiv that they had a boy that year? Who was called Tov? Moshe Rabbeinu. So the fact that it says V'tuvei Leiv and Moshe Rabbeinu was called Tov shows that each one of them had a boy that year. Akol HaTova, what was the good? So Akol HaTova, from the word Tova, we learned Sheyatzta Baskov Ramalahem Kulchem Mizumanin L'chai Olam Haba. So from the word Akol HaTova, we see that they were basically forgiven. This is very fascinating. LeDavid Avdo L'Yisrael Amo. We see that they were what? We saw the good. They saw the good that they had done for David, Avdo Yisrael Amo, Bishlam Yisrael Amo. It's good in the pasuk to say that what? That they saw the good that God had done for them, for Yisrael. To Achil Hu Avon Yom HaKippurim, because he forgave them for eating on Yom Kippur. El David Avdo Mahi. What's the problem?
He wasn't even there.
Where's David?
Dead.
Not alive.
David's not alive. So what does it mean that God did good for David during the days of the inauguration and during the days of Sukkot, during these 14 days? Listen to this, fascinating. When Shlomo wanted to put the Aron into the Mikdash, Dafku Sha'arim Zelazeh. The gates wouldn't open. Amar Shlomo Esim V'Arba Rininos V'Lo Nana. So Shlomo Melech said 24 calling out to God and praising God, and he wasn't answered. They still didn't open. Pasach V'Amar Sushar Mashechem. He's saying Sushar Mashechem, open up the gates. V'Lo Nana. They still didn't open. Kevan Shamar. What did he say? Hashem Elokim al Tashev Pnei Meshichecha. What? Zachra Lechas de David Avdecha. Once he mentioned David, what happened? Poof. They opened up. Miyad Nana. Be'osa Shah. At that time, the haters of David their faces turned black like the bottom of a pot that's on a fire. Why? So why are we thanking David HaMelech? Why are we saying it was a simcha for David? Because when the doors opened during the inauguration, what did we see? And what did all the Sonei Shel David see? That what? That in the thing of Bathsheba, in the case of Bathsheba, where he took Bathsheba, even though the husband was still alive and he was in battle, in the case of Bathsheba, what did we see? That really he didn't do anything wrong. It's a fascinating idea. That he was forgiven, or that he didn't even do anything wrong in the first place. There's a fascinating idea that I heard, that we know that David HaMelech wrote Mizmor Shir Chanukah Sabayis LeDavid. What is he saying there? Ki di lisani v'lo simachta oivai li. That's this Gemara. What's it saying? That with the Deles, once they saw the Deles, what happened? Ki simachta oivai li. Now all of a sudden my oivim were no longer happy. They were upset because what? Once they saw the Deles open for me. So that was what? That was David HaMelech while he was alive, writing a prophecy of what's going to happen. That ultimately in the time of the Mishkan, at the time of the Mikdash, the doors are going to open up for him. Fascinating. No, it's worth it just for that. Okay. We're going to keep going, but it was worth it just for that. Rabbi Yonasan ben Amsi, Rabbi Yehuda ben Gerim. Rabbi Yonasan, the son of Amsi, and Rabbi Yehuda ben Gerim. Very interesting that he's called ben Gerim, the son of Gerim. Tanu Parshan Sedarim Bei Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. They were learning, Rashi says, they were learning Meseches Nedarim. One can also say that they were learning the Parshan Nedarim in the Torah before Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, Rashbi. Ifter Minei Ba'orsa. So they left him at night. And what happened at night? They asked permission to go. Because what you're supposed to do is when you leave your Rebbe, you're supposed to ask him permission. So what did they do? They asked Rashbi, can we go home? And he said, fine. Litzafra Hadr V'Kameh Faftre Minei. What happened was that they ended up staying overnight. In the morning they came back and asked permission again. Amar Lahu, he said to them, V'lav if titru minei ba'oretz, I gave you permission already last night. Why are you coming back to me for permission again? Amar Leh, they said to him, what do you mean? Rabbi, you taught us that Talmud shenifta me'rabba v'lan v'osair. You told me that if a Talmud leaves his Rebbe and the Rebbe gives his permission, but the Talmud ends up staying overnight, sarech lifter mimenu pam acheres. You need to ask him again. What's this based on? So that's why they asked him again, because they'd asked him at night, but they ended up staying over, so they need to ask him again in the day. Shenemar, what's this based on? By Yom Hashmini, on the 22nd day, at the end of Sukkot, what? Shalach esa'am vayivarchu esamelech. That's what we just said. Shlomo Melech sent the Am away. Uchsiv, but then what does it say? V'yom esum eshlosha l'chodesh hashi yishlach sam. He sent them on the 23rd day. So which one was it? Ela mikan l'tamad and niftim rabbi ulan b'osayir tzarech l'fater mimenu pam acheres. What happened? Shlomo Melech told them to go home on the 22nd. He gave them permission. What happened? Some people, what? Ended up staying overnight. What happened to the people who ended up staying overnight? They came back and they need to get permission again. You'll notice that it's actually a chiddush because what? In the case of Shlomo Melech, what happened? They came to him on the 22nd day. They stayed overnight, so they asked permission to leave on the 23rd day. Here, these Talmidim, we'll see in a second, he looked at them as having such derech eretz. What happened? They asked him permission when? At night. So even according to the way that Shlomo Melech did it, they didn't have to ask him permission again because they really asked him permission that day already, the night before. Shlomo Melech's case was when you asked him the day before, you have to ask him the day after. Over here they asked him that day, and yet they still came back to him that morning. Very fascinating. You think this is interesting? It gets even better. So what happened? So he saw that they came back to him. Rashbi said to his son Rabbi Elazar, B'nei Adam halalu anashim tzelt surehim. Rashi says that they're chachamim, but many say that we didn't need them to see that he was chachamim. He didn't see from this that they were chachamim. He saw from learning with them that they were chachamim. What does he mean? Anashim tzelt surah. They have good derech eretz. The fact that they came back to me to ask me permission again shows me that they're also mensches. Not only are they talmidei chachamim, they're also mensches. Therefore, what? What do we see? We see the importance of being a mensch. But not only that, he was so impressed with them coming back when they didn't have to even come back. So what did he do? He said to his son, Zil gabayun delivrechu. Go to him and ask them for a bracha. Rashbi told his son to go to his Rashbi's Talmidim and get a bracha from them. I think he's going to regret it in a second. So the son comes to them, the two Talmidim, and he sees that they're arguing with each other. It says in one pasuk, Peles it says in one pasuk that what? You should measure your footsteps and all your paths should be established. And it says in another pasuk, you should never measure your footsteps. So on one hand you should measure your footsteps, on the other hand you shouldn't measure your footsteps. What does that mean? Rashi says that the first one, which says to measure your footsteps, means that what?
You should have two mitzvahs.
You should only do the mitzvahs that are gedola. If you have two mitzvahs in front of you, you should take the more important one, or the one that you think to be better. And when it says not to measure your footsteps, what does that mean? That seems to be that whatever mitzvah comes to you, don't think about whether it's big or small. So how do we figure it out? Are you supposed to take the big one versus a small one, or are you supposed to not measure and just take whichever one comes to you? So the Gemara says, Lo kashya, kan b'mitzvah she'efshar lasos ha'idei acherim. If you have two mitzvahs in front of you, and there's two people, you and somebody else, so then it's right for you to go, what? Do the mitzvah that you think is more important, gedola. And let the other guy do the other mitzvah, because at least now the other mitzvah will get done as well. Khan, when does it say you shouldn't measure and you should just do whatever comes in front of you? If there's nobody else, so then don't say I'm not going to do this mitzvah because it's a little mitzvah, I'm going to keep myself available to do a big mitzvah. No. Then do whatever mitzvah comes in front of you. But if there are two mitzvahs that come in front of you, or if there's somebody else there and there's a little mitzvah that comes in front of you, so then you could say, okay, sir, do you mind taking this? And then you can wait for what you think is a bigger mitzvah. There was another question. So he's trying to get a bracha, but they're sitting there and, Talmidei Chacham not really batel so much, so he's going to have to wait to jump in at the right time, or wait, as we see, till what? Till they see him. So now he hears them again. He's listening to their conversation. There's another contradiction. The Torah is precious as pearls, and nothing else in the world equals it. But what does that imply? Nothing gashmius equals the Torah, but what? Other cheftzei shamayim, other spiritual things equal the Torah. What's other spiritual things? Mitzvos. So from the first pasuk, it seems like mitzvos and Torah are equal. From the second pasuk, kol chafetzim lo yeshuba, they learn that nothing is equal to the Torah. What? Not even mitzvos. So which one is it? Ta'afilu cheftzei shamayim lo yeshuba. Are mitzvos equal to the Torah? You're supposed to stop learning Torah to do mitzvos, or are mitzvos not equal to the Torah and you're supposed to go ahead and continue learning even when there's a mitzvah? So again, same answer. When there's a mitzvah that somebody else can do and you're in the middle of learning Torah and there's another person there, then what? Let the other person go do it. If you're learning Torah and there's a mitzvah and there's nobody else to do, so then you should go ahead and stop learning Torah and do the mitzvah. Why? Because we say, what are we learning Torah for? Ultimately, to know Torah, to get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but also what? Lavo lidei maaseh. So if you're learning Torah and a mitzvah comes in front of you, so you should go ahead and you should do the mitzvah unless there's somebody else to do it. So listen to this. This is a little bit scary. Amrulei. My bayis hachi. So finally they battled for a minute, or they saw him out of the corner of their eye and they realized that he's listening. Amr lahu. So they said to the Talmud, they said to the son of Rashbi, to Amr, my bayis hachi, what are you doing here? Why aren't you with your father learning? Amar lahu da amar li'abaz yil gabayu delivrechuch. Because my father said I should come to you guys for bracha. Amar lay, listen to this bracha. Hopefully we will never get this bracha. Yehi rava de tizra velo tachsod. You shall plant and not reap. Tayo velo tipok. You should enter and not go out. Tipok velo tayo. You should go out and not go in. Lichrov beischa, your house should be destroyed. Veleisiv ushbezich, and you should sit in a temporary residence. Levavel piturecha, there should be confusion on your table. Velotachse shata charata, you should die this year and not make it to the next year. I think he's going to regret the fact that he sent his son to go get a bracha from the things. Imagine what the son is thinking right now. When he comes to his father, he says, Dad, I think you had it wrong. Not only did they not give me a bracha, they cursed me pretty bad. What did they say to you? So he told him what he said to him, and he said, no, you misunderstood. This is fascinating. What you thought was a curse is really a bracha. How? When they said you should plant and not reap, what does that mean? You should have children and you shouldn't reap. You shouldn't have them die. You should enter and not go out. You should have daughters-in-law, and they shouldn't leave you when your sons die. Because what was the custom? The custom was for the daughters-in-law to come live with the chassan. And she would stay with the chassan until when? Or with the husband until when? Until, God forbid, the husband died. So if the husband died, she would go back to her parents' house. So what does it mean, enter and not go out? You should have daughters-in-law who enter your house, and they should never have to go out if one of your sons die. Tepuk v'lo tayu, you should go out and not go in. Tolid binta v'lo yamusu guvrayu v'lidur livatich. What does it mean that they should go out and not go in? The opposite way. You should have a lot of daughters. They should go out to their husbands' houses, and they should not go in. Their husbands shouldn't die, which will cause what? Which will result in them having to go in, back into your house. How's it going to do this one? Your house should be destroyed and you should have to live a temporary residence. He says this world, living in this world is temporary. Interesting, not talking about Olam Haba. He's talking about after 120 years you go into the kever. Yeah, your Neshama goes to Olam Haba, but you go to the kever. Kivram, your ultimate resting place is where in the kever. So what does he say? Your ultimate resting place, i.e. your kever, should be destroyed, and rather, you should sit in what? In your temporary residence. You should live a long life in this world, which is ultimately only temporary. Okay, we're doing well. Levavel piturecha. You should have confusion at your table. Okay, that's nice. Bivnei uvnasa. You should have a lot of children, a lot of grandchildren, and you should make a mess in your house. That's a bracha. You shouldn't see a new year. How are you going to do this one? Your wife shouldn't die. You shouldn't have to marry another wife because what does a new year mean? It means a new year of simcha with your new knife. Shana Rishona. You shouldn't have another Shana Rishona. So ultimately, what did he do? He took the entire curse and made it into a bracha. Let me ask you a question, though. The Yaakov asks the obvious question, what? Why didn't they just give him a bracha? So he gives a fascinating answer. Again, going back on the fact that they were mensches. What were they? They were the Talmidim of Rashbi. He comes to them for a bracha, the son of the Rashbi, and he says, can I please have a bracha? What are these people thinking? What are these Talmidim thinking? Who are we? What right do we have to what? To give a bracha to the son of our Rebbe. So what did they do? They were bright. They gave him, quote unquote, they gave him a hidden bracha. So what did he have to do? He had to go back to his father. What did his father do? His father interpreted. Ultimately, who did the bracha come from? The father and not from them. Beauty. Beautiful. Okay. I always say we could stop here and not learn the rest of Shas, but we always have to learn the rest of Shas. We want to finish Daf Yomi, but there's such beautiful things on every Daf. Rav Shimon ben Chalifta iftar minei derav. Rav Shimon ben Chalifta left Rav. Amar lei, so you look on the side, librei, so Rav Shimon bar Chalifta said to his son, same thing, Zil lagabe de livrach. Go get a bracha from Rav. Hopefully Rav gives better brachas. Amar lei, hey Rav de lo tevayish v'lo tizbayish. Ah, not such a good one. You shouldn't embarrass people, and you shouldn't ultimately become embarrassed by embarrassing other people. Asa gabe avu, he came to his father, Amar lei, Maya Melcha, what did he say to me? Amar lei, Milin ba'amahu damarli. Rav didn't give me such a good bracha. Amar lei, no, you're wrong. Beiracha beirachta debarchen kucha brichu de Yisrael. When he told you that you shouldn't be embarrassed, that's a great bracha. Why? That's a bracha that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to the Jewish people. Not only did he give it to them, v'tanaba, he gave it to them twice. Where do we see that? Dichsiv, because it says v'achaltem achol v'savo. You're going to eat and you're going to be satiated. V'hilaltem, you're going to praise God. V'lo yevo shami la'olam. You're not going to be embarrassed forever. V'datem ki v'ker v'Yisrael ani. You're going to know that I dwell amongst the Jewish people. V'lo yevo shami la'olam. He gave you the bracha that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the Jewish people twice. That what? That they should never be embarrassed. We have a few more minutes. So a woman can make her adornments on the regel. Tanu Rabbanan, Elu Hentashit Nesham. What adornments are we talking about that an Isha is allowed to do on the regel? Kocheles, mascara, upokeses. She's allowed to fix her hair. Rashi says she could part it in half. Tosa says she could braid her hair. Umavira, look on the side. Srak al panesh, she could put makeup on her face. Vika de amre, and others say maveres srak, she could actually put a razor. With a shin, it's makeup, and with a samach, it's a razor. Al panesh al mata, she could actually clean off her private parts, the hair on her private parts. So what do we see from here? A woman can do tachshita. Why is she allowed to do tachshita? Well, what's the reason you weren't allowed to have a haircut on the Moed? What's the reason you're not allowed to have a haircut on the Moed? Because what are we worried about? We're worried that you're not going to get a haircut before the Moed. You're going to come into the Moed all dirty. So why don't we have the same gezerah that a woman can't put on makeup on the Moed because she's not going to put on makeup before the Moed? Because we know women put on makeup when? Every single day. And even if we let her put on makeup on the Moed, even if we let her put on makeup on the Moed, it's not going to prevent her from coming into the Moed with makeup because she's going to put on makeup before the Moed as well. And it's not a tircha, so there's no reason that a woman should not be able to put on makeup. Well, we'll see in a second that others argue. The wife of Rav Chisda put on makeup in front of her daughter-in-law. Yosef Rafuna bar Chanina kamed Rav Chisda. So Rafuna heard about this and said to Rav Chisda, whose wife put on makeup, Yosef Kamar lo shanu el yalda vazikna lo. No. What's your wife putting on makeup? She's an old lady. Not so nice to say to the guy anyway. Your wife's an old lady. Only yaldas, only girls that are in the parsha, they're shidduch dating or they just got married, they're allowed to put on makeup. Your wife is not allowed to put on makeup. It's interesting. The Gemara doesn't really talk about why not. So seemingly he would say maybe it's too much of a tircha, but the Gemara doesn't explain why he would say no.
This sort of contradicts a Gemara we learned a while back. I can't remember where, but in the DAF, where his wife, in one part of the story, his wife came out to greet him as he returned to the town, all made up properly, and it didn't indicate that it was a young.
Well, we see he's going to reject it anyway. Hi Elohim, Amalei Elohim. He says, he basically swears, Afilu imcha, even your mother, Vafilu imei de imach, pretty extreme, even your grandmother, Vafilu omedes al kivra, even a woman that's about to die is allowed to wear makeup on the Moed. De Ambri inshi, because people say Bashit and give Ashit. A 60-year-old is like a 6-year-old. Lekal tav larata. She runs to music and she runs to what's the name? She runs to put on makeup. So there's no problem with a woman putting on makeup on the Moed. Rabbi Yehuda Omer lo tasut. So we said in the Mishnah, Yehuda says you're not allowed to put on this lime on your face or on your body to get off the hair on the Moed. Tanya Rabbi Yehuda Mer Isha lo tasum neshel niva hula. We see that Rabbi Yehuda says that an Isha can't put on this lime because it's menuvalter, right? Even though at the end of the day it gets off the hair, but while she's wearing it on the Moed, so it's going to be disgusting and she's not going to have a good Moed. But Rabbi Yehuda agrees, there's a special type of overnight sid which you put on and what? You take it off on the Moed, you take it off the next day. Shetofalto b'Moed. Very interesting. So Rabbi Yehuda says that in general you can't wear the sid during the Moed if you're only going to get benefit from the sid when? After the Moed. But if you're going to wear the overnight sid, so even though it's going to be painful for you for a few minutes on the Moed or for a few hours on the Moed, since you're going to get benefit on the Moed from the results of the sid, because now it's going to be all clean, your hair, and your body's going to be all nice, and your skin's going to be all nice, so you're allowed to do it. But we have a brisa that contradicts this. Listen carefully. It's a little bit confusing, but it makes sense. We have a brisa that contradicts this. We know that there's a halacha that you can't do business with goyim 3 days before their holiday. Why? Because if you do business with goyim 3 days before the holiday, what's going to happen? They're going to come on their holiday and they're going to what? And they're going to thank their avodah zarah for helping them do business with the goyim, with the Jews. And the business that you do with them is going to cause them to praise their avodah zarah. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Yehuda says no. Nifroin mehen mimei shemetzar. Not included in this gzeira of not doing business with them is collecting debts from them. If they have a debt with you, you're allowed to collect the debt even within 3 days. Why? Because it's a tsar for them. Because it's painful for them. Amru lo, but they said to Rabbi Yehuda, afi shemetzar achshav sameach ulachar zman. Very nice. They're going to be upset now to have to pay back the debt, but in 2 days, what? They're going to be relieved, and what's going to happen? And they're going to thank their avodah zarah. So we see from over here that what? That in our case of the Moed, Rabbi Yehuda says what? That if you're going to be meitzar now, but you're ultimately going to be happy, what? Then it's okay. But over there we see that if you're meitzar now, that's all we care about. We don't care about the fact that they're going to be happy later, because if we cared about the fact that they were going to be happy later, then what? We wouldn't let you even collect a debt from them 3 days within 3 days, because they're going to be happy when they realize after a day or two that they actually paid off the debt. So which one is it? So Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Hanach lehilchas moed dechulu meitzar achshav v'sameach la'achar zman ninu. He says, forget about Hilchos Chol HaMoed. Really, Rabbi Yehuda holds what? That you're allowed to be Meitzar. He holds that as long as they're Meitzar now, we don't care that they're going to be Sameach later. So then why does he let you put on the makeup? Why does he let you put on the sit on the Moed? Lamaisa, they're Meitzar now, and all he cares about is the fact that they're Meitzar now, that they're going to be in pain now, even though they're going to benefit afterwards the next day. Because he said, Moed is different. Everybody agrees by the Moed. When you cook on the Moed, what do you do on the Moed when you cook? So unless you like cooking, or you like paying bills, or you like shopping, so what does it mean? It's a Meitzar. But everything on the Moed that we let you do is what? Is Meitzar, is a little bit painful, but we let you do it because ultimately what? It's going to make you Sameach on the Moed, and that's why theoretically you can't cook on the Moed for what? For after the Moed. But you can cook on the Moed for the Moed, even though it's going to be Meitzar, it's going to be painful to spend the money and to cook on the Moed, but since you're going to get benefit on the Moed, so that's everything in the Moed. So Rabbi Yehuda is going to agree that on the Moed, you're allowed to put the sit on. But in general, Rabbi Yehuda is not concerned that if something is Meitzar now, that it's going to give you joy later. And therefore he's not concerned that if you take the money back, the loan back from the guy now, he's Meitzar now, that's all we care about. The fact that he's going to be Sameach in 2 days and give it to his avodah zarah and thank his avodah zarah, that's not your problem. We're not worried about that. Ravina Amar different. Kusi l'inyan piron la'olam Meitzar. Says no, it's the same thing. So why is it different? Really, Rabbi Yehuda holds what? That we do care about the fact that you're going to be Mesameach. And that's why on the Moed, you're allowed to put it on, because the fact that you're going to be Sameach afterwards, we care about the result as well. So why does Rabbi Yehuda let you collect a debt? You should care about the fact that they're going to be Sameach, that they're going to be relieved after a few days, that they paid back the debt? He says no. Goyim are never relieved that they paid back the debt. Why? Because they were assuming the whole time that they'd be able to steal the money and never have to pay back the debt. So since they paid back the debt, they're going to be upset, and it's not even going to be after 2-3 days that they're going to come and be happy. Therefore, we're not worried about the result of them ultimately becoming happy and ultimately thanking the thing. But in general, we do take into concern the fact that somebody is going. We do take the result into concern. Let's just do a few more minutes, and we'll finish up the daf. Amar of Menachem bar Yitzchak. No. We did that. Fine. Amar of Yehuda. Benot Yisrael shegiu lepirkan v'lo yigiu l'shanim. Benot Yisrael who came to puberty and didn't yet come to shanim, but seemingly the Gemara would seem to be the same thing for a regular person who wants to take hair off their body. So what was it? So he's telling you lemaisa what it was. The mitzias. Aniyas toflon osam betzid. When a woman wanted to take her off the body, and again we said that according to Rabbi Yehuda, you weren't allowed to do this if you were just going to be meitzah. If you were going to put it on, it wasn't going to come off till after the Moed. But if you were going to put this on and it was going to come off on the Moed, then it was allowed. So the poor people would use what? They would use lime to get the hair off the body. Ashiros toflon osan besoles. The richer people would use what? They would use a little bit of a fine flour to get the hair off their body. Benos Menachem b'shemen hamor. And the daughters of Menachem would use the higher thing. What would they use? Shemen hamor. What does that sound like? Shenemar shisha chadashim b'shemen hamor. Who put that on? Esther. She put on this beautiful myrrh oil, and those are and that's how they would get it off. My shemen hamor. What shemen hamor? Rafuna bar Chia amar tzatechet. It's tzatechet. What's tzatechet? Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Ami amar shemen zayit shelo hevi shlish. It's a special type of shemen zayis. It's a special type, but not only is it olive oil, it's olive oil that hasn't even ripened a third, so it's very strong. So they would use this olive oil. So again, there were 3 types of things that people use. The poor people would use lime, the richer people would use fine flour, and the richest people, the Benos Menachem, would actually use shemen hamor. Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, on pinknon, same thing. What does he say? He has a different name for it. It's not called tzatechet on pinkon. Shemen zayis shel hivishlish. V'lama sachanoto, what would they do? Shemashir esasei or ma'adin esabasa, like we were saying the whole time. It would go ahead and it would get rid of the hair, and it would make the basar, the skin, beautiful. Rabbi Havale Barta. Rabbi had a daughter. Tafla Ever. What did he do? He took, well, seemingly, we like to think that Talmidei Chachamim didn't have a lot of money. Seemingly, what did he use? It doesn't say what he used, but we're assuming that he used what? He used sid. He used the cheapest thing. What did he do? But he took the sid and he put on one Ever at a time, one limb at a time, I guess for either a few days. He put on to his daughter, and what happened to his daughter? She had beautiful, radiant skin. So what happened? So a boy came along and said, Shaka badalan mea zuze. She was so beautiful that the Baal, the husband, offered 400 shekel to marry her. Okay, so it doesn't say if they got married, but it sounds like it. Hava hahu kusi b'shiruse dehavale barta. So there was a non-Jew in the neighborhood who also had a daughter. So what did he do? He saw what Rabbi did. So what did he do? He made a mistake though. Tafla b'chad zimna v'mesa. He didn't realize that all he knew was that Rabbi was putting on sid. He didn't realize that Rabbi was doing it a little bit at a time. But what did he do? He put sid all over his daughter's entire body at one time. What happened? It was too strong, and she died. Amar, so what did he say? Of course, what do we do naturally when something bad happens? And we're, so, katla bibi labadri. We blame it on the Jews. So what? Bibi killed my daughter. Amar Rav Nachman, just as a side point, and we'll end with this. Rav Nachman says, why was he so concerned about his daughter having hair? Why did his daughter have so much hair? Well, he was a little bit of a beer drinker. Rav Bibi deshasi shikra. You should know that if you drink a lot of beer, ba'ayan binte tafla, then your daughter's going to have a lot of hair. Anan delo shatinan shikra, but us who don't drink a lot of beer, lo bayan bintin tafla, our daughters are not going to have a lot of hair. So the nafkamina is that until you're done having daughters, you should not be drinking beer. But once you're finished having daughters, you can drink as much beer as you'd like.